So here we are looking at our beautiful scatter plots. Aren't they gorgeous? Now we want to find, let me go back here, we want to be able to find regression equations for both Toyota and GM. I technically found the one for Toyota, but you know, it's a good thing to know how to do this. So regression equations are in Stat, move to the right to Calculate, and I'm going to pick number 4, linear regression. Okay. Now remember, the default is L1 and L2, which is where my Toyota data is. So if I just press enter, it just finds the Toyota one. Now it didn't store it for me. If I go to y equals, it's not in there. Well, that's kind of sucky. So let's quit. Let's do it again. I could do second enter to bring it back, but I'll do stat, calculate, number 4, beautiful. And I'm going to tell it variables, y variables, function, number 1. Right, it's going to run the regression and store it in y1. And since you don't see L's here, L is in list, it's going to do L1, L2 by default. Enter. So now if I go to y equals, there's the Toyota data. Here, let me show you. It did Toyota's regression right there. Okay, so now let's go do it again. Stat, calculate, number 4. But this time I got to tell it. L1 is where my x is, comma, press the comma button. L3, because GM uses the same years, L1, but it uses L3 for its data, comma, variables, y variables, function, and now I'm going to pick number 2. I don't want to pick number 1 because Toyota's already in number 1, and I don't want to bump it out. So I'm going to put number 2 for y2. Now you didn't have to do y2. I mean, I just choose to. I'd like the calculator to store it for me if at all possible. So when I press enter, it runs the calculation and it stored it for me. Let me go to y equals. There it is. So the Toyota data is in L1, L2, and it stored the equation in y1. The GM data is down here in y2. So when I graph, there's the Toyota line, there's the GM line. Cool. All right, so now we know how to find the scattergram for both. Right, we did that in the last tutorial, and we know how to find the regression equation for both. Of course, you can compare the slopes and all of that, but what if they ask you for different values? So like they say they want to know what's happening when, I don't know, in 2010. So you could go to the table, and you could go scroll down. 2010 would be year 20, and there you can see. In 2010, Toyota is at 16.25 and GM is at 25.25. Now, of course, these data values aren't actually what actually happened because they were set up from a model. Right? The model came from the data that only went to 2005, and as we all know that live in Michigan, some major things happened in the car industries between 2005 and 2010. But suffice to say, that's what the model shows. Oakley dokley, that's how to find both regression equations, how to get it to store them, and how to scroll through the table to find more values. Okay, you can keep scrolling and keep finding stuff. All right, next, how to find the intersection. Well, the thing about intersection is that you have to have the intersection on screen. If you don't see the intersection on the screen, it ain't gonna find it. So you got to go to Window first and make it so you see a whole lot more. Let's go to 40. Let's graph and see what happens. There we go. You can see the intersection. See it right there. Fabulous. Intersections in the Calculate menu. So go to Second, Trace. It's right above that in the Calculate. Press number 5 for intersect. And it's saying, is y1, which is 0.65, blah, 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 your first curve? Yes. So I press enter. It hops automatically to y2. See the cursor's blinking? It tells me it's y2. Is that your second curve? Question mark. Yes. So I press enter. Guess. It's not a really big deal for when they're straight lines. You just move kind of closer to wherever the intersection is and press enter. Because straight lines only have one intersection. Later on, when you have a curve, you'll have to move closer to whichever one you want. All right, there we go. It tells me the intersection is 29, 22.1, and that's how to find an intersection. Fabulous. All right, see you here next time.